So sponge cities are also a way to adapt to the severe climate effects of climate change without significantly changing your city. What we're starting to see around is sponge cities. Are you familiar with the term?
Maybe you can explain it to, I don't know a lot about it, but I've read a little bit about it. But yeah, maybe you can explain it to people.
So essentially, using green spaces not just to provide pretty parks, but also to absorb large amounts of water and refill the aquifers, the pools of water underneath the ground that many, many cities around the world, many human populations are completely dependent on for
Right.
agriculture and fresh water. So the idea is essentially water pools up on an impermeable surface until it flows off and possibly takes out some buildings on the way out down towards the coast. You
Right.
don't want that. You want permeable surfaces that the water can flow into the earth the same way it did back when that land was a forest or a
Right.
savanna or what have you.
And then what you're doing is you're deliberately returning the water back to where you need it, essentially, to where it's going to be more sustainable.
So if
So,
you only focus on an area that gets flooded all the time, but you don't deal with upriver where that water is coming from, you're going to have to do a lot more adaptation than if you
right.
go and just reduce and slow down the water flowing to those regions. We have this outdated concept of a century storm, but century storms happen every few years now for a lot of the world, right? So sponge cities are also a way to adapt to the severe climate effects of climate change without significantly changing your city. Yeah, New York is building a lot actually. So is Singapore. But even my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, has some really great sponge city infrastructure that's being built all over. And,
Well,
and it's not nearly as expensive to dig out some land and plant some more trees and bushes and shrubs than you normally would, compared with all of the money lost to flood damage.
I mean, New York City is such a beacon for the world in so many ways. But, when New York City floods and you see water just pouring out of subway stations, the whole world
Yeah.
sees that. And
So
right, right.
this is something that basically every city should be looking at.